Well, first of all, let me say thank you for all of you who are attending. I also want to say thank you for Claire for allowing me to use her Start Meeting website. Claire has been my business coach for the past several months and has really helped me get from a very starting point in my new business to where I am now, creating my first webinar. The title of this webinar is Living Intentionally. And let me first tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Deborah May. I studied communications, and in 1997, just when I was turning 40, I started having a reevaluation in my life and read the book from Deepak Chopra called The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. This led me to really become aware of that there was more out in the world, and I decided to become an instructor, a mind-body instructor from the Chopra Center of Well-Being. And that opened up a whole different level of understanding that we are co-creators of our life. I later studied emotional intelligence, which helped get in touch with how our emotions are triggered, emotions that are developed in us before we are 10 years old. And then when events happen, those emotions get triggered from our earlier life, and how we can use those messages from those triggers to understand what we're saying to ourselves. And usually it's the small child that's saying it, and how to integrate it with the adult that we are to have better coping skills. And also the masterminding. I've done masterminding about 10 years now. I've been teaching it about 5 years. And masterminding is a principle developed in the book Think and Grow Rich. That's what the TGR is. Think and Grow Rich was a book written just after the Great Depression. And it's an amazing book by Napoleon Hill, who was commissioned by our first billionaire, Andrew Carnegie, to study all of the successful people at that time on the planet, most of them here in the United States, the Fords, the Edisons, the Vanderbilts, and figure out what it was that they did that other people weren't doing. And it wasn't that they were more educated or that they started off with money. It was certain principles like having a burning desire, having persistence, having a very specific kind of knowledge, not a book knowledge, but a specific knowledge in a certain area. So I combine the instruction from the Chopra Center on the mind-body wisdom, which is about meditation, the EQ, which is about how to settle down your emotions and understand your emotions, and also the mastermind principles in a class that I called Creating Prosperity. But today we're going to talk about holiday stress and how we can be in better control during this time that can be so joyous and wonderful. So first of all, I wanted to talk about the concept of having an intention. So what is an intention, and how is it different from a goal? Well, an intention is an overarching theme. So we have intentions like, I want to be in better health, or I want to make an important contribution here on the planet. And it's important to have, these intentions compared to goals, because then we know we're going in the right direction. And also, if you have an intention like, I want to be healthier, and you have 1 or 2 bad days where you don't work out, or you don't eat nutritionally like you know that you should, then you can just get back on it without feeling that you've broken everything. And it's important for your own inner confidence. So an intention just gives you kind of a vision of where you want to be. And it's very important to have vision. In the Bible it says those without vision will perish. And it doesn't mean that you'll die, but a part of you dies, the most creative part of you. So it's important to have vision in your life and always be seeking to be making a difference and to have a purpose. Now, what is a goal? A goal is something that's specific. So in my example of I want to be healthier, the goal would be I want to lose 10 pounds, I want to exercise 3 times a week. And these are just specific steps that are in the direction of your intention. So that's the difference. And both of them are important. The intention is important just to start the visionary process because it's creative and it's imaginative and it's giving you the motivation that you need. And then the goal is important because it's something that's specific and measurable. Oops, sorry, I went the wrong way there. Okay, so the power of intention. What is so powerful about intention is that we actually put things in motion. In Think and Grow Rich, the theme is that thoughts become things. And this is really an amazing concept. Every single thing that we see that isn't nature, that isn't a tree, that isn't green, that isn't the ocean, that isn't the sky, is something that a man made. So if you see a stop sign, that was once in somebody's mind. Somebody had to think of that. Somebody had to decide to make it octagonal. Somebody had to think about making it red and capital letters. And you know, this all was thought about before it came into manifestation. So if we're walking around without intentions and without awareness, our life is kind of happening to us, and that can be very stressful. Whereas if we have an intention and we live life intentionally, then we are happening to the life. And the more that we bring intention to it, even though things that are not planned will happen, unpredictable things, we can still stay better in control and more on top of it than if we're just, you know, roaming around, bumping into life and not making any plans and not deciding how we're going to react to things. So that's number one, thoughts become things. And number two, change requires a decision. I think everybody has been, you know, very aware of the fact that Nelson Mandela passed, quite an exceptional person on the planet. And what makes him so exceptional is that he was incarcerated for 27 years and made the decision to become a better person, made the decision to use his divine given self to forgive and to reunite a country that was torn apart. So these things require decision. And we all know of people that have been dealt a bad hand in life that have, for example, Helen Keller. I mean, what an amazing woman that was, and she had no sight. So these are all things that we can think about, and by making a decision, that's part of an intention, you can be going on one path, and you can completely change your path to go in a different direction. So energy flows where attention goes. There's only two forces, that's energy and information. So the only difference between you and a tree is different energy and different information. So when we put our energy or our attention onto something, we're going to expand it. So if we put our energy and attention onto all the bad news and the bad economy or, you know, sickness or whatever else negative that's happening, that's going to grow in our life. If we put our energy or our attention on the great things that are happening, then that will expand in our life. And you all know people that you've met that are incredibly positive and fun to be around because they're just always looking at the glass half full, and then you know the other people who are just always whining and complaining. You know, not that we don't need to just blow off steam every once in a while, we definitely do, but if you're constantly putting all your attention on all the negative things, then don't be surprised if that's, you know, what you're going to have in your life is more negative. So energy flows where attention goes. Now we're to our topic of holiday stressors. So why can the holidays be so stressful for people? Well, first of all, we're living in such a busy time. Time is speeding up, I'm sure for all of you as it is for me. I can't even believe we're to the end of 2013. Just seems like, we were just saying Happy New Year, and now we're almost to 2014. So there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of information. It's speeding up at the speed of sound. So to have extra things to do and extra expenditures when money can be tight, shopping, wrapping presents, decorating, even though they're very fun things to do, they can be stressful. Just like planning for, a fun event, planning for people to come into town, or planning a wedding. These things are all really great and fun, but they can be stressful because they're just adding a lot more onto your plate. So, and then time with your relatives. Well, as many of the funny movies have come out about relatives, I don't think I need to say anything more about that. I mean, some people are really blessed with great relatives that don't add stress, but a lot of times what happens when we're around the people that we love the most, the people that we grew up with, although we have changed and grown, they still see us in the same way that they did 10 years ago or 20 years ago. So they see us in a certain fixed pattern. And when we're around those people, we act out those patterns, and those patterns are already hard to change as it is. So that's another reason why it adds stress. So how do we work with that? So the antidote to stress, number one, having some awareness. So if you take a moment and take out a piece of paper and write down some of your biggest stressors. It may be the extra shopping for you if you don't like shopping, like myself. It could be the extra cooking. Now, I love cooking, but if you don't like cooking, then the idea of making these big meals and having to go out and buy things and having to figure out what everyone likes and everybody likes something different, that can be very stressful. So just sit down and think about what things will be stressful for you over the holiday season. That's part of it, just being aware of it so that you already can kind of head it off at the pass. And then really important, taking time to decompress. And we're going to talk a little bit about that later, but taking time to decompress and some really good methods to decompress. We have something in our system that's very old as humankind, called fight or flight in our STEM brain, our reptilian brain. So that means if you see something coming towards you, like let's say somebody threw a basketball at your head, your hands would automatically go up to catch it, or you dive away. So these are two things. If you see something coming towards you, you're either going to run from it or you're going to confront it. And this happens to us all the time in life. And if we're stuck in traffic, it might trigger the fight-flight response, but there's nothing we can do about it. We can't run away from it and escape it, and we can't really confront it. I mean, what are you going to do when you're sitting there stuck in traffic? So there's another method, and that's called mindfulness and using your breath, which I will teach you a little bit later, that will help you decompress. And taking time out, I mean, just even taking a walk, or if something comes up and you're having a reaction to something with friends or family, just excusing yourself to go into the restroom, just having that little bit of time where you can shift and that you're not going to react will make a huge difference. And so that's why the awareness comes first. I mean, if you know your brother Bob always pushes your buttons, already start thinking about that. These are the things Brother Bob does. He's annoying. He teases. He says inappropriate things. Okay, these are the three things that I can do when he does that. I can walk away from him. I can say, let's not do this now, or I can, whatever. So you have a little bit of a handle on it so that you don't feel like you're under the gun and and you don't have any choices. And then forethought, planning ahead. just, like I said, writing it down, thinking about it. You can take a break, take a little walk, whatever, but just having some idea about these are the stressors and these are the things I can do, because otherwise it's just very predictable what will happen. We all know what has happened, and those are the patterns. So just like I said before, if you want to change, you have to have change requires decision. So think about how you'd like to change, how you'd like to respond instead of react, so that requires planning ahead. So holiday intentions. How can we make this time a happy time of year and create new fun experiences? Well, first is also planning and thinking about it, creating memories, thinking about things thinking about a feeling that you'd like to have during this time. So feelings of joy, feelings of happiness, feelings of connection, just thinking that out and thinking about what would make that happen. For example, after a meal, instead of hopping up right away and clearing all the dishes, just sitting and just enjoying each other after that, and maybe playing a game around the table of, what's the most fun thing that happened to you this year, or what was the most surprising thing. And you can actually find out some really, really fun things from each other. Another thing, carving out time for yourself. Again, taking little snippets of time to decompress, and whether it's to get up 20 minutes before everybody else in the house gets up to have your cup of coffee or tea, or go for a walk, whether it's to go to the gym and work out. Exercise is a great way to get rid of stress, because just like with the fight and flight, exercise is the flight portion. So when we get stress trapped in our body, exercise actually helps work the stress out that's trapped in our body. And then thinking about the quality, memorable moments that you want to have with your family, and really creating that time. Think of some holiday celebrations that you've either experienced in your past. So when you were a child growing up at, grandma or grandpa's house, or maybe something that you've seen in a movie or something you've read about in a book, and really think about what was it that made that event special and how you could create something like that with your family. Some of the things that we've created, just special little rituals. We all love rituals. That's why we have things like, weddings and baptisms, and these are things that trap us in a moment in time. That's why we celebrate birthdays, and we just want to make an event really special. So think about something special or something that you'd like to create to make something special with your family. Plan for those moments. Those moments are not going to happen if you don't plan for them. A lot of times we're just busy from one activity to the next, and I'm just as guilty of that as the next person. But if we plan in time, just to have extra time for things, and also for special moments. In the Netherlands, they have a holiday called Sinterklaas on December 5th. And people write little poems to each other, and it's really sweet, like a little rhyme, and then they give each other a little funny gift as well as a regular gift. So, it could be something that's particular for that particular person, that is funny and, not humiliating, but, just something cute and funny, and a cute little poem, and that's always really special. Or something that person likes to eat. Just shows that person that they're special to you. And then being proactive to head off the stressors that you know are going to happen, and just thinking ahead of time, if this happens, this is what I'm going to do. So you already have it thought out so that you're not reacting to it. That brings us to New Year's and New Year's intentions. The new year will be here before we know it, And as you're thinking of things, and maybe as you have some time off during the holiday season, and you just, have your decompress time, think about where you are now compared to where you were a year ago. A lot of times we don't really evaluate how far we've come in a year. And we're just always looking ahead, and driving ourselves instead of looking back and saying, wow, last year I had this and this and this concern, and that's not a concern anymore. That's taken care of. I brought my mother here from Florida. She had a lot of health concerns, and she lived with me for 2 years. And, first I had to worry that she was down there in Florida by herself, and then I had to prepare my home for her to live here, and then I had all these, doctor's appointments I had to get her caught up with and get her teeth fixed and get all these exams done. And now she's living in a wonderful assisted living 5 minutes from my house. It's absolutely fantastic. I can, pop by and see her. There's special events over there. They have activities. She's very happy there. I'm happy having her there. I don't have to worry about her when I leave the house or when I go on vacation. And, 2 years ago, she was in Florida, and I was worried about her living down there. And so it's really important to kind of, assess where you are and give yourself a pat on the back and say, wow, I've really come a long way. These were the things I was worried about 2 years ago, and now that's not a concern. And it can also help you for the future that you say, you know what, I've got these concerns out the next year, but you know what, they'll all work themselves out. And for me, a lot of it depends on faith. I heard an awesome example of this from somebody where they said, you write down the list of things that you have to do, and maybe for your spouse or, your children or whatever, a list for them to do, and then a list for God to do. God's to do. Maybe God's to do is to, help deal with Uncle Bob or your brother Bob or whoever is, kind of annoying you. You put that down there on God's list, and it just kind of gets it off of your mind and your list. So examine where you are right now and think about where you want to be. And this is not to be driving yourself so that you're, pushing yourself, I need to be at this next level, but use some creativity and imagination about where you want to be. You want to have a destination that is exciting and having something that gives you something to look forward and look into, and have a passionate pursuit of your purpose. So we want to stay in the present moment right now, but we want to stay connected and enjoy every moment while looking forward to what we want to have in the future. And this is all part of visioning. So create your new intentions and live into them. And I'm going to show you a little tool I call the assessment wheel that's designed to help you examine your whole life and see areas maybe that you haven't been thinking of for a while and get yourself a little bit back into balance. So we're going to look at that. This is a personal assessment tool called the balance wheel, and you can see the different areas: spiritual, relationships, network, this network of friends, network of relatives, network of business associates, your financial goals, your physical goals, how good are you in shape, nature, how connected are you with the outdoors. One of the things that I heard recently was that children under the age of 10 can identify 200 different corporate logos, but they can't identify 10 local plants. That's pretty sad. And when we don't have a connection to nature around us, we're kind of cut off from our own world. So it's really a good idea to go out and take a walk every day for 5 or 10 minutes just to be connected with the outdoors. And even if it's cold and windy, go out. In Dutch they call that to grab a fresh nose. And it really does help get fresh air and get your circulation moving, and even just to be grateful that you do have a nice, warm, cozy place to come into. Your body, how do you feel in your body? Are you giving your body enough nutrition? Are you giving your body enough sleep? Are you giving your body some occasional exercise? So how do you feel in your body? And then self-care, the same kind of thing. Are you growing? Are you able to, read a book or go to a movie and have some downtime with friends? So these are all the different areas that you can look at. And then this tool over here, the blue tool, is one where you can put each area in here. So let's say you put spiritual up here on this top line, and you put relationships here, and self. So let's say you feel like for self, you're doing a pretty good job, so you give yourself an 8, and you just fill this line in right here. And let's say for nature, well, you haven't, really connected to nature lately, so you say you're down here at a 4. And financial, let's say you're at a 6. You're doing okay, but you could do better. And let me see, what haven't we done? Body, let's say for body, you're at an 8. So you're filling in these lines. Something else, you might be at a 4. And if some of these categories are not significant to you, you can put something else here. This is just a tool to kind of help you think about all the different areas of your life. So like instead of network, you could put your hobby. Let's say you're a painter, or you're an artist, or you do something like that. You could put that in there, your creativity, or you could put your hobby, or you could put your group that you get together with. So you put all of these different things here around your wheel, and then you assess them. And then what you'll see is you might have a 6 in this area, a 10 in that area, a 4 in this area. And as you draw these lines, you'll see, kind of a cog instead of a wheel. And what we want to have is something that's more balanced. Even if they're all 6s or all 8s, what we want to work on is having, a little bit of something in every single area, instead of that we're just financially healthy, or we're just spiritually healthy, or we're just physically healthy, and then the rest of the things are at a 2. That's not a very healthy wheel. So we just want to look at what areas we could expand into, not to feel bad about ourselves, but to just give ourselves some room to expand. So, for example, here, these are just some tips for different areas that you might want to look into to expand. Spirituality. A way you could expand in that area is reading an inspirational message every morning, keeping a gratitude journal, praying before bed with your partner or your children. Say grace aloud or silently before your meals. These are all ways to just be more connected spiritually. And gratitude is just a great way to really be connected, because sometimes we take for granted, there's on television and just always in our face about, people who have more, but really anybody who lives in this country already is better off than, there's 7 billion people on the planet, so like 6 billion people, since 30% make less than $1 a day, and the other 20% make less than $2 a day. So really, we're very, very blessed if we're able to be in a home and sleep in a nice bed and have food every day. And these are all the things that we just take for granted, because we all want to be living in a castle and driving a new car and having a boat. And I mean, that's at least what the media is putting before us, and that's what we're seeing from celebrities and all of that. But really, by focusing on what we're grateful for, just going to the grocery store and seeing the incredible supply of food that's available to us all the time. I mean, these things can really help us to be more grateful, which gives you more joy in your heart. Career and personal development. Can take a new class, read a new book, ask to be mentored by someone, which the mentorship is just incredible. I have 2 coaches. Claire is one, another woman who's another, and they have really opened me up to just a much broader view of myself, given me more encouragement and confidence. And I would really, really push you to look into being mentored by someone who has knowledge in an area that you need to expand in. And also just having the accountability, joining a networking group and being with people who really, have your back and give you accountability for what you need to do. I think we all can benefit from that. And then relationships. Some stretch goals in those areas are creating a more intimate bond with a good friend. I mean, one of the ways to create vulnerability and an intimate bond is to show vulnerability yourself. Develop a friendship with someone new. There may be somebody at your work or somebody in one of the groups that you're in, or church, or your neighbor that you'd like to get to know better. And it only takes a minute for you to say, I'd really like to get to know you better. Would you like to get a cup of coffee or something, to form a better bond and create a new friend. You might be having some problems with a current friend, and they don't even realize it, and you can request a behavior change. And that's kind of a loving way to help somebody grow in a certain area, because none of us know how we're showing up until somebody, gives us, a loving behavior change request. Say, you know what, when you come in, you're very hustle bustle, you talk really loud, you're not really paying attention to what's going on around you. And, it's really beneficial for that person to know that, as well as for you to be able to say that. So it's important for you to be able to speak up for yourself, and it's really important to know, for that other person to know how they're occurring. And then for self, decide what activity that you would like to add to your week to nurture yourself. I mean, we can't just be going full tilt and giving without running out of steam. So take time for your daily meditation. Take a walk after lunch or dinner, meet up with a friend once a week to reconnect, go to a movie, soak in a tub, put some candlelight, take a me break, schedule yourself a massage. These are all ways that you can give to yourself. And when you have more time or nurturing for yourself, you'll have more time and energy for other people, because you can't run on zero. All right, 3 steps to success in every area of life. So, intention, which is all about, setting an intention for something that you want. Attention, giving that intention your time or energy. And action, scheduling the time to put it into action. So first, intention. Intention, like we talked about before, is, having a goal about something, and it is very helpful to have time to sit and reflect and say, you know what, at this stage in my life, what do I want? When I was 40 and read the 7 Spiritual Laws of Success from Deepak Chopra, I remember thinking, I just need to have, my life was so hectic, I just need to have more peace in my life. How am I going to create that for myself? So that was something, that was an intention that I had. And attention, well, giving that intention time to grow and giving that energy. If you want to get in better shape, it's not going to happen unless you get more sleep, go to the gym, and, have more nutritious foods. So set your intention for being healthier, and then put your attention to it, and then the action steps. The action steps fall into place. One of the things that Claire taught us in our accountability, our business accountability group, is having 3 commitments a week to something. And of course we do much more than 3 things, but 3 things, and this is specifically for our business. And it really helps you move ahead if you just have 3 things. You have 3 appointments with business people, or you're writing, a blog, or you're doing three different things, action items that you promise yourself. You feel better, you know you're moving along, and you do that, in the beginning of the week, or you can do it at the end of the week before that, or a Sunday night, but you say, okay, this next week, these are my three actions. And you can do that for all of your things, whether it's personal care, or whether it's your business, or, having some time with your significant other. If it doesn't get scheduled, it's not going to happen. So we just have to schedule it. Now, simple strategies to decrease stress, increase clarity, and produce greater results. This is where meditation comes in. Meditation is a simple way to reconnect to ourself. And it's really simple. It's really not rocket science. Just a really simple way to do this is sitting in a very comfortable position with your back erect. You don't want to be laying down. And having your hands and legs uncrossed, having your palms up on your lap and your feet on the floor, and just taking a deep breath in, holding it for 1 or 2 seconds, and then letting it out. And then a deep breath in, holding it for a couple of seconds, and letting it out. And closing your eyes as well, so that you're closing off all the stimuli. And try to do it in a peaceful place where, the phone is not going to be ringing. And I even started this. I would have a hard time even just meditating in my home, because I'd see all these things that needed to be done, and I'd have a hard time disconnecting from that. So I had the car in the garage, and before I would go pick up the kids from school, I would just go sit in the garage in the car and just do this for a couple seconds. Can also do it, when you're on your way home, just before you get home. You could pull off into a parking lot and just, do this for a little bit. We Americans love to do everything in our cars, don't we? Just pull off and, take a couple of breaths and really just take time to decompress, be with your body, say to yourself a little mantra, which means instrument of the mind, all is well, all is well. And you take your conscious mind and you tell that to your subconscious mind. Our conscious mind only can do one thing at a time. Our subconscious mind is doing over 200 things at a time, assessing what's going on around us, the light, the heat, the energy. It's just amazing what that subconscious mind is doing. But the subconscious mind is listening to the conscious mind, and that's why affirmations work. So if you say, I feel great, this is going to be a great day, you're actually programming yourself, because your subconscious mind will listen to you. If you're saying to yourself, oh my gosh, another day, you have to go in, I have to see this person, this is going to be horrible, you're actually programming that's what's going to happen, and that's a part of creating intentions. So find some time in your day, whether it's first thing in the morning, you sit on the edge of your bed, take time to, take a couple of deep breaths in, breathe out, set an intention for the day. This is going to be a great meeting day. Let's say you had to have a meeting that day. This is going to be a great day for communication. This is going to be a very productive day. This is going to be a fun day. Let's say you're getting together with friends. This is going to be a memorable day. So you give yourself a little intention in the morning. And it's also good to start off with gratitude, thanking God for, your good night's sleep, for your wellness in your body, for the people in your life, and it just really gets your day off to a great start. So even the busiest person can get up, use the restroom, come back, sit on the side of their bed, and take a couple breaths. And if you don't have time to take 3 or 4 breaths and set an intention for the day, then your life is really out of balance. Think about it. Because if you get a phone call or if you get, somebody calls, one of the kids call you from downstairs, you're there, you're ready. You're ready for everything that happens, and you need to be ready for yourself too. So this very simple technique helps decrease your stress, increase clarity, and produce greater results in all areas of your life. Seriously. So just needs to be made into a habit. So 3 steps for success in every area of your life: intention, attention, and action. And the meditation is part of decreasing stress, increasing clarity, and producing greater results. So the link between our breath and our life. I mean, literally breath is the most important thing. If you can do without food for 30 days, you can do without water for 3 days. You can only do without breath for 3 minutes. So our breath is linked to our life. So that's why breathing in slowly and breathing out, it sends a message to the nervous system to calm down. Because when we're excited, we breathe quickly and shallowly. So when we purposefully breathe slowly, stop for a second, hold the breath. When you hold the breath, you're not allowing it to flow in or flow out. You can feel a little bit of tension there. You can feel how important it is to breathe, because we're just breathing automatically all the time. That's why when you breathe in, you hold the breath for just a second, and then let it out. It's an intentional act, and you realize that you're constantly in this flow. And as far as the thoughts go, the thoughts will come and go. So people think that when you meditate, you have no thoughts. That's impossible. You have thoughts even when you're asleep. It's not that you don't have thoughts. It's the fact that your thoughts will start to slow down. Now, if you've never done this process before, your thoughts actually can start to speed up because you're cutting off everything else, and then all of a sudden there'll be a lot of thoughts. And that's just a way of the body decompressing. So don't think that you're doing something wrong. Just realize that all those thoughts are bubbling up that normally you don't have time to think about. You just go back to the breath, go back to the body, and just be very aware of what's happening. Just say to yourself, all is well, silently as you're breathing in and out, all is well, all is well, all is well. And, the thoughts may come across the screen. You don't resist them. You just let them go by, just like you're watching clouds go by in the sky. You just watch them go by. You go back to your mantra. You go back to your breath. You check in with your body, see what's going on there. And this will really help the fight-flight response. That will help the body get into a calm state so that it's not triggered. It creates space, because you are not your thoughts. You are the person generating the thoughts. So when you go into meditation, you're going into the space in between the thoughts. You're actually creating more space. And that's what helps with this fight-flight response. So if somebody says something to you, instead of you being triggered right away, you've got more space, more reaction time. So what is the body's response to meditation? Well, the body's response to meditation is it starts to calm down. The nervous system starts to be reconnected. It causes something called brainwave coherence. And the brainwave coherence is the mind's response. The body's response is that the systems, the hormones and everything become much more balanced. And the end result is that you feel much more clear, much more focused, much more in alignment, and you glimpse a little bit of peace. So it's all about adding more peace, more space into your life so that you can have more joy and more creativity. So that is our seminar for today, And I will get on to the site now and escape because I can't see any comments. And I will end the recording.